Yo, man, what's good, YouTube, man? It's your boy, McConaughey, aka Mr. Nappy, her boy. Today's video, man, we got heat, saying all the Pirus at death row, the story of George Williams. You guys know, man, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe and share, man. Run on to 2,000 subs, man. Let's get it.
Welcome to Hood War Stories. In this episode, I'll be discussing the life of George Williams. George, also known as G or Ponytail, was born in the year 1965 and is a member of the Ludus Park Piru gang, which
Damn, he was born in 1965? 1965?
is considered the mother gang of Piru gangs on the east side of Compton. In the early 70s, when George was 7, several sets of Crips began to claim neighborhoods in Compton. In 1972, a few teenagers formed their own gang as protection against the Crips. Originally called the Piru Street Gang Boys, they were created to directly combat the Crips. At the end of the 70s, the violent crime rate in Compton had skyrocketed. George was in his mid-teenage years. He was a smart student, but at this point he became engulfed in his surroundings. His environment and the people he was raised with molded him to become progressively more ruthless as the years went on. By the late 80s, George had developed into a hardcore gang member, and his name rang bells of fear through Compton. Suge Knight had grown up north of Alondra Boulevard and west of Wilmington. This is a patch claimed by Ludus Park Piru. Although he never joined as a teenager, Suge had deep connections.
Nah, yeah, it's really crazy how gangs really started to protect, our people and stuff like that, and then it formed into something else. Really, I feel like it might be we can just wake up and realize that we're not saying we're not enemies to ourselves that look like me. Like we're not each other's enemies. You know what I'm saying? We're not enemies. We just gotta really wake up and realize that we're not each other's enemies. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if that's gonna happen. Until that happen, the same stuff that's happening in this world today, where we're seeing killing each other because he's from that block, or I'm from this block. Then it's gonna continue happening. You know what I'm saying?
With this gang. As Death Row's fortune proceeded to skyrocket, Suge's label had no problem finding talent. Every hip-hop artist on the West Coast wanted in. Suge created a family environment underlined by a constant threat of violence. And that violence was enforced by the killers Suge surrounded himself with. Around 1993, Suge began assembling a hit squad, which was mainly composed of heavy hitters from the Looters and Mob Piru gang. He personally selected George Williams, and through George, he met Poochie and added them onto his roster. In the meanwhile, Suge used about $200,000 in cash to buy drugs and guns for Looters and Mob Piru. This is what got Mob Piru started in drug dealing and gun running. Suge surrounded himself with his goon squad at almost every social occasion, as well as being almost residents at his Cam-Am Studios. The Cam-Am Studios, situated on Oxnard Avenue in Tarzana, became Death Row's main place of business. It's situated in the mainly Mexican and middle-class white inhabited area in the San Fernando Valley. Suge liked the anonymity the location provided. The building of the Cam-Am Studios was greeted by a lobby with metal detectors and guards. Security personnel list consisted of hardcore blood gang members who were allowed guns and drugs.
Yeah, that's actually insane if we really think about it. Suge Knight had a record label when he was going crazy in the '90s, and then it all came crashing down. I feel like if he was smarter and not try to fuck with people's money and fuck with people's mind and all that, and tell them, oh yeah, I'm big dog, I'm this and that. Death Row Records could have been something like more now, but now it's like I'm pretty sure Death Row Records is still a thing, right? I don't know. I don't know. I don't really think it is, but if it is, can y'all let me know down below in the comments down below? Y'all let me know. Y'all let me know down below.
Inside the studio. This location will be the scene of many shakedowns, beatdowns, and other acts of violence. George was always present at the studio to be the main one applying the reinforcement. He was the most feared, and at the top of the list when it came to danger. Suge would pay George to carry out hits. Over the years, George noticed clear favoritism towards Poochie, as Poochie received houses and more expensive gifts for the murders he committed, while George felt he was getting crumbs in the short end of the stick. This led to built-up animosity, which boiled over into an argument between Suge and George. Some say George was stealing money from Suge, and when Suge found out, he fired him and demanded that George return the gifts and cars he had given him over the years. Other people close to George say he was set up and made to be the fall guy. Whichever theory is true, George refused to.
Wait, yo, but that's what it was. Remember in the movie how they're sitting at the table? I think it's in the two, but when they're sitting at the table, and then the dude was like, "Oh, you selling money for me?" I don't know if that was supposed to be George right there, when either fired him or they set him up to like because they didn't like him. I don't know. That could have been that. I don't know.
To return any of the gifts. He felt he had earned them for all the dirt he had done for Suge throughout the years. Suge was heated when he found out George wasn't going to give back the car. Some say Suge had a fear of George, so he felt it was best to get George out of the way, but it would end up backfiring in the worst way. Suge then allegedly put a hit out on George. Then one day, Suge had his goons lure George to a secret location, where they gave him a severe beatdown. They tortured him, and Heron wound up shooting George in the ass. They were about to kill him, but somehow George got away. George went into hiding right after, but started recruiting other Pirate members to fight against Suge and his crew, mainly included members from Fruitown and Looters Park. George retaliated by having one of Suge's closest soldiers, Heron, killed. He quarterbacked Heron's assassination by having his girl Woozy, who was dressed as a man that day, and Roderick bounced out on Heron while he was blocked in traffic and light up the car 27 times with 2 AKs. Heron
Oh my gosh. 27 times, and how the hell do you have AKs? Shot the car 27 times and they both had AKs. That is crazy. Wow. That's, oh my
was dead
goodness.
on sight. Before he was killed, Heron knew George was coming for him. Heron was hiding in the bushes trying to get to him first, but George was 2 steps ahead. Heron's murder was a clear message from George to Suge that the war was on. George had switched sides against Suge and became an execution agent of Roderick Reed, also known as Lil Rod from Fruitown, Piru. Lil Rod had evolved into a powerful PCP agent across the country. Around that time, after he linked up with George, he had a large amount of drugs stolen. The robbery included a friend of Poochie named William. So on August 4th, 2000, Poochie and William were sitting in a van on a dead-end street in Compton, when just after midnight, 2 men run up, open fire, and flee. William died an hour later, and Poochie was seriously injured. It's strongly believed that George is one of the alleged shooters. 3 weeks later, Lil Rod's friend Vince was subsequently kidnapped, tortured, murdered, and found near a Compton graveyard. There was a videotape of Vince's execution.
Bro, there's no way. Oh man. That just sounds like he really wanted to get his get back for what happened to him. Talking about George, that's kind of that's damn.
Buntry, who was Suge's best friend, and Dudley were rumored to have played the videotape of the execution in front of a group of friends at Buntry's house. This infuriated George. Nearly a year later, Dudley was shot and killed in a hail of bullets in front of Buntry's home. George is alleged to be the trigger man. 8 months later, on April 3rd, 2002, Buntry pulled up to a gas station and fell up. He was about to start pumping gas when 2 men walked up and drew their pistols. Buntry was shot 4 times, and he died shortly after. The assailants fled in a pickup truck drove by a man in a ponytail. Police released sketches of the 2 suspects based on witness descriptions. It's widely believed the man behind the shooting is allegedly George Ponytail Williams himself. Fast forward to October 16th, 2002. Hendog, who was a longtime friend of Suge and also designed the Death Row logo, was shot dead near a fried chicken stand in South Central. In 2005,
Yeah, that just sounds like he wanted to get everybody that was close to Suge or anything like that away just because of what they did to him. That to me, that's what it really sounds like.
George and Lil Rod were convicted in manufacturing and distributing PCP and conspiracy to distribute the drugs. Drug agents who raided their operation in 2003 recovered 175 kilograms of the drugs. 50 weapons and $175,000 in cash were also confiscated during the raid. Lil Rod and George were flooding the market in South Central and Compton. They utilized the Inland Empire for its remote, hard-to-detect areas, which were ideal for manufacturing PCP. In 2021, George was released from prison. Currently, he's out on parole and keeping a low profile.
That's crazy. That's actually crazy for real. If you really think about it. Damn.
I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Hey man, what he said, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think down below of that video right there, of the Suge video, of the George Williams video. Let me know what y'all think down below, man. Like, subscribe, and share, man. It's been your boy, Mickal. I see y'all when I see y'all, man.